Well, really happy to see my friend Yeprem back again, all the way from Lebanon. Are you in Beirut or what
Yes,
part?
Beirut.
Okay,
Beirut.
very nice. I heard it's the Paris of the Middle East. It's,
Oh, yes.
oh, it is nice then.
Well, it is.
Wonderful. I'm happy to hear it. So I did promise you that we would go down and talk business.
Yep.
So I don't know what the state is of your entrepreneurial pursuits, but I am very fascinated to know, before we get into what you've done, I want to know what you think. So what got you involved or interested in business, other than you're Armenian?
Well, basically, I think it's a more, I was in it because my dad has one, so I was involved in the business. Uh, I was involved in the family business early on in my life and then continued to
What's the family business?
restaurant.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so I was involved there in all the ins and outs. Uh, so just learning the basics, learning what it takes to own one, what it takes, what are the challenges, what are the obstacles you face, and the way to overcome them. I think that's why I like the idea of like doing or owning a business, and that's one of the reasons made me just to go for it. And yep.
So, could you give me an example of some of the obstacles that you had to face and overcome? Just one example, or
Concerning my own, the freelance that I'm starting now, or
sure,
the my dad's, or
whatever you
both.
think is whatever you think is most interesting. How about that? I'll leave.
Well, yeah, that could work. Uh, concerning handling people, so knowing how to handle people, and I learned it. So consumer communication, consumer behavior, all that.
Okay.
I learned it by observing. I mostly do my learnings by observing. That's how I work. That's how I learn stuff. So first I observe a lot and then I do them. So in the first few years, I just observed how was he handling the customers. Let's say the way he was dealing with them, an angry customer, a happy customer, a satisfied one, and not so satisfied one. So all the different customers. You meet a lot of different personalities and a lot of different aspects.
Mhm.
You see it from different perspectives, and that will lead me to the a second point of perspective. So concerning the customers and the way to deal with customers, I think it was one of the bases that it took me to go there and start.
Mhm.
Uh, and being consumer centered in a business is the key for it to succeed. I
Yeah.
think that's in my opinion, because basically your business relies on the customers. So whenever the customer is happy, is satisfied, well, eventually it will succeed.
Mhm.
Even though it will always be obstacles, it will always be challenges for you to face as a business, but like the key for it to succeed would be always to have a satisfied customer,
Mhm.
and that's the way it should go, I believe.
My godfather, he ran a small business. He's Armenian as well. He ran a small business in California, and he is constantly ranting about how awful everyone else's customer service is. You walk into a store and they go,
Yeah.
"May I help you?" And then you kind of go, "No, I don't know." Versus I don't know if you're like this. He kind of just would walk up to the customer and become their best friend on the spot. And then,
Basically,
yeah, I
that's
mean,
that's that's the way to do it.
it's the
It's the
Armenian
best
way,
way. It's the best way.
it's it really is. And I mean, you did it with me. I'm a happy one of your customers,
See?
so it works pretty well. I have to hand it to you. I want to know a little bit more about what personalities have inspired you. Probably, I assume your family, who were small business owners, but
Of
what other
course.
people in your life?
Other than family, I think one of the biggest businessmen who inspired me is Gary Vaynerchuk,
Hmm.
the immigrant from Belarus who is now currently there in the US with you guys.
Well, right. My people.
Scaling his business. He is an inspiration. He is continuing to be an inspiration to a lot of people, including me as well. And one of the key reasons I believe that made me like attached, not attached in a way, like hooked to his content, you know.
Yeah.
I think because the reason that he really talks about self-awareness and talks about subjects that are not really talked much about, concerning humility, concerning happiness, concerning self-awareness, which is a huge topic I want to address. You know, because without the self-awareness, how are you going to be able to be you, basically, you know?
Yeah.
Just to execute on you. A lot of concerning the US, I want to relate it a bit to the US community. Like a lot of people in US think of entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial life, or at least according to my research and my findings and ideas.
Sure.
Like, I think entrepreneurship is misunderstood by a lot of people, especially in the US. Like, you have to be a millionaire to be entrepreneur. You have to, you know, all these things, without noticing and knowing that. By the way, do you know the entry to the 1% life, as they call it in the US? Is not a million or millions or billions.
Oh, it's like 225.
It's, yes,
For a
around,
household,
yes.
for just a whole household, not
For
even
the,
one
yes,
person, a household.
even for the 1% life, I mean, you know, the people
Yeah.
that say to live the 1% life, it's by far is 400,000 according to my inspiration, the Gary V, you know, and I quote, it's 400,000, and it's totally misunderstood. It's like you don't have to be a millionaire first to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You don't have to own all the cars or all, you know, all that things that they refer to as entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
It all comes down to self-awareness. You know, you can be just happy as, and happiness is the main key and is the main factor to chase, I believe. It's not that a lot of people got it misunderstood, like you have to own the money to be happy.
Mhm.
Well, I don't own $1 million. Am I happy?
Yeah.
Well, I'm totally, you know,
Yeah.
I think that's the concept that it's misunderstood. I'm happy as hell, and
Yeah, so there you go. So getting back to it, I really want to drill down a little bit more on the non-materialistic aspects of entrepreneurship. Namely, there are aspects that have of being an entrepreneur that don't have anything to do with getting money, but making you a better person. And could you really explain what's up with that, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'll get back to the topic of self-awareness all over again, you know, because basically,
well, specifically, how does it relate to being an entrepreneur? Because there are some people who aren't entrepreneurs, but self-awareness would greatly help them,
yeah.
right? So how does it relate to just being an entrepreneur? Self-awareness.
Yeah, I believe you know, being self-aware and being an entrepreneur, I think it should be correlated, and there is really strong correlation between that. And sorry, can you edit this part as well?
That's fine. So
for the question, yes, it's for the question. Please rephrase it. Maybe I got it wrong first.
No, I don't mind. Okay. So Yeprem, I'm really interested to know is how is being self-aware something that is intrinsically or just a central part of being an entrepreneur versus, you know, being a doctor or a this or that? What makes being an entrepreneur different from all other types of life pursuits?
Yeah, because look, I believe that self-awareness is a core thing to delve into, especially while being an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur without the self-awareness, in my opinion, it won't work out. you need the self-awareness to be an entrepreneur. You need it because eventually you will have to know, you need to know who you are and what you are capable of doing. Like, I can't pursue now being a, let's say, a broker or a financial advisor. I can never be that because I don't have it in me. It's not something I'm passionate about. And just delving into the concept like of me, I'll just go and be a broker, let's say, or be an accountant, or a consultant or somewhere. I can't do that because I know there's self-awareness in me, and I know that I will not be able to do that. I'm not good, let's say, at the tactical things, especially in the accounting. So, and that helps a lot, by the way. I know I'm good at designing. I'm trying to get better every day. But concerning other things, I suck a lot of things, and I think it's totally fine as long as you're focusing on your strengths and not dwelling on your weaknesses. I think it will work out. So it's more of a self-awareness and knowing what you're good at and tripling down into that and not focusing much on what you can't do, because eventually we all have 24 hours a day, and time isn't the issue to discuss like I don't have time or I can't do this. It's all about knowing who you are, what you're capable of, and just doing it, putting in the work. I didn't do the design in a day. It took me a couple of years to start doing that, It's the process. I think a lot of people focus on the end result much more than the process itself, and falling in love with the process is the reason why now, currently, I'm doing what I'm doing, and I will continue doing it even though I know it will take a lot of more time, so, which is totally fine.
Falling in love with the process. That is a very, very powerful concept. Thank you for sharing that.
You're more than welcome.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to get more from you. So, one thing that I think you didn't quite touch upon, but I would be interested in drilling down on, is what do you say to people who haven't quite found a process they fall in love with? Maybe they love some end results, but they just can't stand the process. How do you find something you're passionate about? How do you do that?
Sure. I think it's pretty simple. Whether you're young, old, and especially if you're young, for the 22 to 25-year-olds, or even the 18 nowadays, I think, and that's something that Simon Sinek touched upon, which is instant gratification, which social media made it much more powerful impact on ourselves. We want a lot of things, we want it instantly. So the whole process of doing what you love or trying to find something you love, and the only way to find what you love is to try as many things as possible, Well, eventually you know yourself, and it gets back to the self-awareness topic. You have to know yourself, you have to know what you like or you don't like. And you narrow that into some of the topics that you can relate to, let's say some of the work or business stuff related that you can work on, and you try those things, and eventually you will find out something that works for you. I know it takes time and sometimes it will be costly, but the only way to find out is to try them, and you will never know the alternative if you didn't try, Yeah. You just have to try it, and we're young. Like, I used to think at 20, let's say, even in this couple of years, my mindset really changed. Like 2 years ago, I wouldn't be able to say this, even 1 year ago, that I'm still early in the process, And a lot of people think they're lost. A lot of millennials that are in my age or maybe younger, which is not the case. We're early in the process, and it's something that we don't realize much. We're so young. We're for the business world, we're still babies.
Yeah.
So it's totally fine to try and fail. And failure is something else that I want to touch upon, which is we have to love failure. As bad as it sounds, as rude as it sounds, it's something that's always going to be there, you know? It is the step for success. I failed a lot. I'm still failing, and I will fail more. But it's the only way to continue to do what you to just continue with it, you know?
When you say you have to love failure, do you mean love it within yourself or other people, or?
Let me clarify that.
Sure,
yes.
Sure.
Look, loving failure. By that I mean
Being okay with it.
Being okay with failure. You know, you will fail. I suck at a lot of things. I fail at a lot of things, and which is totally fine. But I will not let that stay in the way of my, let's say, hard work or success. And I think something that's really affecting the generations that are coming nowadays, that we are having a 6th place trophy or 9th place trophy. And that is...
We don't even have place trophies. We have all the trophies.
Exactly, you
participation trophies.
Or exactly, participation. That's like, you know, that's inserting a mentality in the young generation that is letting them accept something. And I don't want to blame anyone, but I only blame myself for my failures, because that's the way you become accountable. And that's one thing I learned from, I'll get back to him, Gary V. Accountability is really, really important. You have to be accountable for yourself. No one is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
Even though your family will care for you, even though your friends will care for you, but they will care as much. But at the end of the day, you're on your own. And unless you know yourself, and unless you, that's why I got back to the concept of self-awareness. Unless you know yourself, you won't be able to continue doing what you're doing, you know?
Yeah, you carry the wisdom of the Greek Stoics with you. That's very, very honorable of you. I mean, I can't elaborate on that anymore because you hit the nail on the head. And obviously, I can only speak for my experience in America in my generation. But But a lot of the criticisms you've given about our generation, would you say are they reflected in your culture and in your community very much so?
Yes, really? They are. Yes, and maybe not as that much, but yes, they are. They're always here. We are getting participation trophies as well, you know, or certification for participation, and it's something I think. And by the way, it really hurts the self-esteem on the long run. You know, like I got some, because eventually those millennials or youngsters will enter the market, and I'm in them, you know. I'm a millennial, so we will enter the market, and the one thing about the market that it doesn't care if you're black, white, Armenian, Arab, millennial, you know, as long as you have something to offer and it is good quality, you're good.
There you go. So find out what you're good at.
Exactly, find out what you're good at, and the only way to do it is to try as many things as possible. So again, we go back to the we go to the topic of self-awareness all over again, and it's going to repeat itself. As long as you know,
it's a very, very valuable thing to get back to. So you are dead on right.
Yeah, and that's why the main focus would be on just focus on you, improve yourself, and that's it. You know, we get caught a lot by, well, oh, my friend will think that this sucks, or I will be judged. Well, it's other people's judgment will always be there, whether you're succeeding or whether you're failing. So by not caring of other people's opinion, I mean not giving the time and energy for that doesn't mean like you don't care for the people themselves. And I think it's concept some people got misunderstood from me. Like they got me misunderstood because when I say I don't care about your opinion, my thing, or the thing that I want you to understand is that whether your opinion is right or wrong for me, it won't affect the way I believe in myself.
Yeah.
That's why it all comes down to self-awareness. So that's, I think, one of the main key reasons. I think we can talk all over it for hours and hours, but yeah.
No, I definitely could talk about anything with you for hours and hours, and I have talked with you for about many things for hours and hours. But any event, we're kind of running out of time. Folks, please follow Yeprem. If you have any business designs, go after him. He's reachable, very reachable on Instagram and many other different sources, Facebook and all the fun stuff. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow and all that fun stuff. I'm also on Instagram. Thank you again, Yeprem. This was a great conversation. Alex.